Hello everybody and welcome back to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy VI Advance. This is thejonnymar and we are trying to find a way into Narshe. And if you remember from earlier in the game when Locke and Terra were escaping these caves, there is a secret entrance right here. And apparently we need to fiddle with something to get in. And there we go. So we're going to be heading back through these caves to get back to the house of the old man who saved Terra towards the beginning of the game. We're going to be fighting mostly the same enemies we did earlier, although we will get a couple new enemy types when we get into a particular room in these caves. So there isn't going to be too much difficulty. Just burn through them with magic and also use Edgar's auto crossbow. And of course, protect Banon and use his prey ability liberally. This second area that we are going to enter, once I get up these steps, is where we can encounter new enemies. And of course, I got all the way through without encountering any. Now we have a little maze here. If you follow the light, it shows you the path you have to take to get to the exit on the other side. And just to try to make you forget, we have this little conversation amongst your party members where they basically tell you what I just said. Follow the light's path. If you make a mistake, you'll be surrounded by lights and you have to touch or tag the orange light in order to proceed. If you fail, then you're going to have to fight some enemies. So it's not too tough. You just continue on up, following the path that the light showed. Now, should you go off that path like this, you have to touch the light. And if you fail, which I did intentionally, you have to fight some enemies. And these are some unique enemies that you will not encounter anywhere else in the game. So that is why I decided to fight them. They are not too difficult for our beast, Edgar. The bad thing about this is it does take you back to the door you came in, and you have to wait for the light path to show you the way again. But that only adds a couple seconds. So this time I won't mess up, and I'll do it correctly. You're also prevented from sprinting as a measure to try to keep you from messing up. There we go. We are now back in the original caves we were in with Terra. And up ahead, there is a stairwell that will take us down to an area that should look very familiar. But of course, I'm going to get into frequent random encounters here just to drag this out as much as possible. There are the steps. If you go down, you'll find the room that we did our multi-party battle in earlier. And remember, when we did that, a bunch of Moogles came from this doorway. Well, as you might expect, Moogles! A whole bunch of them. And they all say Kupo, except this one, who said something kind of suspicious. I'm on to you, buddy. Earlier in the game, I talked about treasure chests whose contents change if you leave them. This chest right here is the most important. Do not take its contents until much later in the game, and I will let you know at what point you can finally take it. For now, we're going to continue onward back through these caves, and we're going to eventually get outside and behind the house that we started in. And that'll be it. You know, this is a very short scenario. And it would be even shorter if I wasn't getting into all these random encounters. Banon's name looks weird, not being in all caps. Your equipment does carry over to the other scenarios, so I would suggest de-equipping your characters of their relics at least, so that you can use them when you're doing the other scenarios. And you can leave this equipment on your characters. It's really up to you. I'm going to take the cotton robe, and I do have extras of everything else, so that should be it. We're home. Ah, so his name was Arvis. Not just old man number 1. Ah, neutral nations. There always has to be a Switzerland. He used to say everyone's gone berserk since the Esper was discovered. Banon's creeping me out here a little bit with that look. And here comes one of my favorite lines from the game. That Esper is either going to save us or dig us an early grave. That's it for this scenario. We have 2 left, Locke's scenario and Sabin's. I tend to try Locke's next, because Sabin's is about the length of Locke's and Banon's scenario together. So Locke has infiltrated South Figaro, he's stymied the efforts of the Empire, and now he has to try to escape. This first door here is Duncan's house, and make sure you re-equip Locke, because remember I de-equipped him when we got to the Returner's hideout. I like to put the Hermes sandals on him so that he has haste, and also the white cape for extra defense. And this building here, talking to Duncan's wife, is what cues you into what you need to do. Rich people's homes have secret passages, and you have to look for a room with a draft. There's also a save point down here if you do want to save while you're trying this scenario. So the first thing we have to do is try to get around town, and a lot of town is blocked off by mechs, for example. You do not want to fight these guys, and when this video is over, towards the end, I'm going to show you why. For now, we need to find some clothes, because we need to get through a particular passage. Now, Locke's original line here was, "Call me a treasure hunter, or I'll rip your lungs out," which I guess they thought was a little bit too violent, and I would tend to agree with that. To get clothes here, you just steal, and if you're successful, you change into the clothes of the merchant. A little tight, but the price was right. Locke's a poet and he didn't know it. I'm glad he has boxer shorts on there instead of just pure nudity. So now we can get through a passageway in one of the houses to the left. So head on over, go through this door, and head down these stairs. What we're trying to find is a passageway into the richest person in South Figaro's home, because there's a rumor that there's a secret base hidden underneath there. And if you remember from the first time we were in South Figaro, we were already down underneath his house and found some suspicious things. To get to that place, we have to bring some cider to the old man's house we were just in. And to get the cider, we have to get a imperial soldier to move, so we need to get some imperial clothing. Again, just steal. Or fail and get hit a couple times and then steal. Ah, there we go. Now, Locke used to say, these are a little too big, but they'll do. I guess they wanted to have it rhyme, so they changed it in this version. These clothes let you force a guard to move out of the way so that you can get the cider. Remember earlier I mentioned all these items that were in the barrels and stuff, that if you waited until later in the game to get them, they would change into something better? Not yet. So if you did wait, you need to wait even longer. So don't pick them up yet, because they won't have changed yet. We'll head in here to the pub, where we found Shadow earlier in the game. Kind of weird having an Imperial sprite. Talk to this merchant, who does not want you taking his cider. Well, not only are we going to take your cider, but we're going to steal your clothes too, buddy. How do you like that? Deal with it. Now we have the cider, so let's head back to the old man's house, where there's rumored to be a passageway that'll take us to an underground Imperial base. You could skip the whole soldier part by just using this little shortcut, but I did want to show you it just so you knew it was there. Head back upstairs, hook around here and give the cider to the old... Or go back down the stairs. Auto dash. Here's your cider man. Tell me the password. And the password is... Really? Really? You forgot? Well, we'll have to try to figure it out. And that password is... Well, you'll have to wait till next time. So I will reveal it in my next episode. In the meantime, here's what happens if you attack one of those mechs. You end up in a battle with a heavy armor. These guys have loads of HP, about 500 total. And you don't really get much out of fighting them, and they're also very strong. So what you end up doing is spending a bunch of time beating on them, getting hit and pummeled, until eventually the enemy kills you with their power attack called the tech laser. Like so. And if you die, you end up getting pushed back to the beginning, and you have to redo all your progress. So that's why I avoid them. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you next time.